I'm Ed Kelly, editor of the Oklahoman. President-elect Obama has been in Washington this week interacting with former colleagues on Capitol Hill. How has he been received? To help answer that question are our D.C. All-Stars, Chris Castile, chief of the Oklahoman's Washington Bureau, and Mark Green, national editorial writer for the Oklahoman. Both men are frequent contributors here on News OK TV. Guys, the president-elect has been urging Congress to pass a massive stimulus package to help improve this recessionary economy. But he's run into some resistance, hasn't he? Not just from Republicans, but even members of his own party.
That's right, Ed. He's finding out that all that collegiality, former comradeship and stuff doesn't probably last very long when you actually start getting down to the job of legislating. And of course, the problem that he has with this stimulus package is that it's got a ton of moving parts. And so all of the legislators have their views on the way things should go, and Obama's got his views on the way things should go. And there's time constraints. The president-elect wants to have this done in a relatively short amount of time, but there's a lot of component parts to talk over. There's a lot of different philosophies about what should be done. And even this week, he's run into quite a bit of flack from his own party. Some Senate Democrats don't think that the package is large enough or that it gets money to the economy quick enough, and so they're making noises like there are going to be changes on the way.
That's right, Edward. Kind of what he faces, the problem he faces is, number one, he did promise tax cuts. He campaigned for tax cuts. And number two, he wants some Republican support on the Hill for this package. He doesn't want to just ram it through, I don't think, with just Democrat support. So he has proposed about $300 billion in tax cuts, but a lot of Democrats are taking a look at his specific tax proposals and wondering, are they the kind that would really have much of an impact, and is that really how the route you want to go if you're trying to get money into the economy quickly and make a difference? Are people going to spend this money? And he's got some business tax cuts in there to provide incentives to businesses to either hire workers or to retrain ones that are laid off. And there's just a lot of questions now about whether, if you're going to spend this amount of money, is that really the right way to do it? And he's up against that and his campaign promises and the need to get Republican votes.
I think I saw something from Kent Conrad, the senator from North Dakota, who said that the Obama tax cuts that he's talking about would put like $20 in the average worker's pocket a week. And is that really going to be a big enough bounce for the amount of money that they're going to spend overall to the economy? And of course, you've got other problems too. Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker, wants the Bush tax cuts, the highest earning or wealthiest Americans, rescinded immediately. And Obama is talking about wanting to let those ride for a couple more years until they expire on their own. So there's differences on that front too.
Okay, so let's talk specifically about his timetable. Is it possible that Congress could pass such a big bill in a matter of weeks as the president-elect would like to see happen?
Well, it's entirely possible. I mean, they did do a $700 billion fiscal bailout bill pretty quickly. But here, as Mark said, you're talking about a bunch of different parts to this. People haven't even agreed on what the mix should be. How much should be tax cuts? How much should be on roads and bridges? How much maybe for school repairs? How much to states to help them with Medicaid shortfalls in this down economy? So you really got to come to a bunch of big decisions quickly. And one of the problems right now is that they can't even really call up the Obama people for hearings because they're not, officially administration people. So it's going to wind up taking probably a lot longer than they wanted. They, ambitiously talked about having this thing on its desk by January 20th. They've dropped all that. Now they're talking, early to mid-February, and it'll probably slip beyond that. It's going to be really interesting to see how quickly they can come together on some of the big decisions and then move this bill through both houses.
David Brooks, who writes for the New York Times, basically said that Obama's looking for almost a perfect storm in a legislative sense, where asking Congress not to do earmarks anymore, for everything to be transparent, and to have all these programs working together, and then to throw all this together in a few weeks is just really beyond any. There's nothing in history that suggests that kind of thing can happen. I wonder too if just because they passed the $700 billion financial sector rescue bill in a short amount of time, whether people will go for that kind of urgency argument once again when we're talking about another $800 billion of taxpayer money.
That's true.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Stay here on News OK for more coverage of presidential politics and the economy.